Blizzard has just announced a new PTR patch notes for StarCraft 2 after a long time. The balance is going to be updated. What are the changes and what are they going to mean for the StarCraft 2 community? Let me try to take you through it. Now, before I'm going to discuss these changes, I want to give you kind of a shortcut opinion about balance currently for me as a Protoss player and as one of the best players in the world, but not at the very top. I would be like considering myself like a top 20, top 30 player in the world. So in my opinion, and the way that I am watching the tournaments currently, is that the balance is fine. Balance is fine. Gameplay and the overall fairness of the game doesn't feel fine. Where Protoss feels to be the strongest race with the energy overcharge, and with how easy it is for Protoss to survive and get to the points in the game, that doesn't feel fair to the other races. What I mean by that is that for Protoss versus Zerg, for example, a Protoss can get a third base so easily with just one energy overcharge, one Oracle defense, absolutely everything that the Zerg can do. And same goes for versus Terran. One energy overcharge on a sentry. Sentry openings are extremely popular in Protoss versus Terran. You scout everything what the Terran is going to be doing pretty much throughout the whole game. But there are still Terrans winning versus Protoss. There are still Protosses losing to the Terrans. Protoss is losing versus Zerg. We can see Raynor and Serral still reigning at the top. God damn it, we have esports World Cup champion Serral still crushing the competition easily, while Zerg is supposed to be the weakest race in the current patch. Now, again, I do want to reiterate that the balance is just at the very top. It's fine. But like I say, the gameplay and the fairness of the game is not. Once again, I want to make sure that you understand that balance at the very top is fine. In so many major tournaments, the balance of the races in the top 4 is usually 2 of each race, and then Terran and Zerg, or Protoss, Terran, Zerg, 2-1-1 distribution most of the time. But that doesn't mean that we cannot take any action in balance. I think we should be taking action in balance because, like I said, the fairness of the game is not there. Protoss has it the easiest by far of the all races, and I'll admit that no problem. Energy overcharge has brought so much easiness in the gameplay of Protoss that we can see everything, defend everything, because energy is time. Gathering energy is time, and Protoss has already a lot of the get out of the jail free card, which is the recall, the potential chrono boost, the warping mechanic as well. Now we also had energy overcharge, which gave us high tempers with almost infinite storm throughout the game, and infinite scouting with the sentry possibility, as well as the Oracle, which is supposed to be the energy unit. Almost we could use it all the time throughout the entire game thanks to the energy overcharge, because it would never run out of energy. So in short, I think the balance is fine at the very top, but we must take action to decrease the easiness of playing Protoss to make it more playable for the other races at the mid to pro and obviously the lower level as well. So let's see what they have prepared for us in these changes. For the Zerg first, we have the Spire cost reduced from 250, 200 to 150, 150, which is not the correct, because it should be 200, 200 to 150, 150. I suppose they want to create more muta playstyles here for the Zerg, which I think I'm fine with this change, absolutely. And this is something that changes the game for the better. I think mutalisks are really underused in every matchup right now. Maybe in ZVZ they are the most used, but both in PvZ, both in PvZ and TvZ, the mutas see almost no play, and even if they do, it's just like a surprise couple of mutalisks, and it's very rare to see. Centrifugal hooks now gives plus 5 HP bonus to banelings again. So we had this patch long time ago where we have decreased the 5 HP from the banelings, and now they get the 5 HP back again to make the banelings a little bit stronger. That's fine. But now comes the most controversial change in the patch, I think. Microbial Shroud reduces the range attacks by 50%, which is basically, if you're a Brood War fan, it's like a mini Dark Swarm. While Dark Swarm reduces all ranged attack damage to like 0 and it only gets affected by splash, here in StarCraft 2, for the very first time, Zergs get reduced range attacks by 50% throughout like the entirety, all units. It's not only the air units that we had currently, it's all units by 50% damage. And that's the Colossus, that's the Siege Tanks, the freaking Marines, Stalkers, Immortals, and so on. Everything is going to be dealing 50% damage less inside the Microbial Shroud. However, the Microbial Shroud effect no longer persists for a few seconds after the unit has left the Shroud, which was the change to keep the Microbial Shroud useful throughout the game in the past. But with this effect right now, it will be far too strong. I still think this is going to be an insanely strong ability, but for the sake of testing how Zerg is going to be played in the new patch, I think this is a fine change to see. Maybe I think quite certainly we're not going to be seeing 50% damage. Maybe we will end up at 25%, maybe 20 damage. Maybe we'll not even see it at all. But this is by far the strongest change for the Zerg. And it will create for interesting mechanics where the Zergs can set up the engagements, or even the defensive engagements are going to be harder to take. Like breaking through the lurkers with spores and spines, you can just cast a microbial shout and you will gain additional time to create more units and so on, which could create for more interesting games. I think this is going to be one of the strongest abilities in the Zerg's arsenal in this PTR. So I'm looking forward how this is going to affect the game, but it will heavily impact the balance of the game with the additional changes that I'm going to be reading through next. So speaking about the Protoss OPness, right? The Protoss energy overcharge grant has been reduced from 100 to 50 energy and the cooldown reduced from 60 to 45 seconds. I honestly think, now speaking just balance, not gameplay wise, not fairness wise, nothing, just balance, this is all that it takes to make the game fine, balance wise, just balance wise. Energy overcharge has been too strong. Giving it 50 energy and lesser cooldown is perfectly fine for me. I think energy overcharge has been too strong for how it's is supposed to work. Once again, it gave you, oracles, high templars, and sentries almost infinite use from the start of the game. So I am perfectly fine seeing these changes to energy overcharge. Next up, mothership HP reduced to 300. Not much comment here. I think because it's unabductable, for the Zergs it's hard to kill the mothership. I'm fine with this change. The mothership has been looking very strong in all the late game matches. It's hard to punish it, so I'm fine with this change. But now comes the hardest change for Protoss in this patch, where the Psionic Storm duration is increased from roughly 3 seconds to almost 9 seconds, and the damage has been reduced by half, from 10 per tick to 5 per tick, which means that the Psionic Storm is going to last much, much longer, more than 2 times as long, but it's going to deal less damage because people are going to be moving out of the storm, right? Nobody's standing in the storm currently already, and people are going to be just maneuvering around out of it. I think changing this storm alongside with this change, the Microbial Shroud, will change PvZ a lot. And it's going to be crazy to try to defend the Zerg's masses that they have already been so good at splitting their army with Banings, with Lynx, Hydras, and so on, where Psionic Storm was the crucial part of Protoss versus Zerg. I will agree that this is a very strong spell, and it's almost non-counterable by the Zerg because there's no EMP like the Terrans have. It was just about the mass amounts of units. But seeing this change really honestly worries me because I don't know how we're going to be dealing with like Banings and again the masses of units. However, I don't think we are going to be standing only on this amount of damage. Maybe we'll increase the damage, maybe we'll decrease the duration or something. It's just the PTR patch that we're working on. This is not the finalized version here, so there is some work to be done, but this feels far too weak for me because we are not getting anything in exchange. Right now, Protoss is not OP because Storm is too strong. Right now, Protoss is doing very well in the tournament because the energy overcharge, because of the amount of storms that we have. And we're already getting that nerfed. And then we're also nerfing Psionic Storm while also buffing the Zerg's engagements, right? With the Banelings and the Microbial Shroud. So I think this will drastically change the balance of PvZ because we don't really have any other buffs. Let's just read through the other changes. The Dark Templar blink attack has been decreased to what it was before. So basically you just blink and attack immediately. And there's Surveillance mode change to Observer. It reveals the observers and then increases the vision to 15. And honestly, that's just a random ass change, by the way. I don't know where these changes are actually coming from. I know some people are complaining about observers, but it's just such a random change. Observers are meant to be cloaked. They're very expensive. They take out the robo facility building time as well. And I know it's kind of frustrating to run around the map and you don't know if you're spotted or not. I guess I kind of understand that. But the other races, they also have the spotters. kind of for free when we are speaking for Terran about scans, for example, in the late game, when they have like 10, 15 orbital commands, they can scan forever. It's also an issue, in my opinion, in the extra late game, but it's not nothing that we should be addressing currently. So for me, the surveillance mode change is kind of random, not asked for, and yeah, I mean, I don't know why this is here. So let's go through the Terran changes as well. The siege tank can no longer be abducted when in siege mode. Viking cost reduced from 150.75 to... That's a significant cost reduction, actually. Significant cost reduction. That's 50 resources less combined, of course. Which means getting a Viking is going to be more affordable in the early game for Terran versus Protoss and versus Zerg. Actually, versus Zerg to maybe snipe some Overlords if you really want to. Versus Protoss versus War Prisms, for example, it's going to be more affordable. And I think that's a fine change because I think the Viking has not been as strong as it's supposed to be, maybe. With the way that Protosses have learned how to engage the Terran, they have become less impactful. So I think I'm fine with this change, but I'm not sure if we're going to be sticking with this. I think it will most likely stay. I don't think we will be capable of judging if this is a game-breaking change or not. I think it's likely going to be staying. And then draining claws effectiveness increased from 1 second to 0.7 seconds, which is basically the Widowmines are going to be burrowing faster. I believe this is a change to the Widowmine from before, from the past. I could be wrong about that, but I think what it just means is that the Widowmines are going to be stronger with the draining claws. I think it's mostly to affect TVZ. I don't think it will have much of an impact in TVP. Maybe it will, because it is a significant portion, right? It's like 0.3 seconds, which is quite a lot. When you're trying to drop Widow Mines in let's say mineral lines or something. So I think it will have some kind of impact, but mostly in TVZ, probably not at all in TVT. And the hyperspeed rotors research time, which is the speed for the Banshees, has been decreased to 79 seconds. I believe this is the exact same time as Cloak for Banshees. So I think I'm okay with this change as well, simply because it will give the Terran a chance to choose between Cloak and the hyperspeed rotors. And I think we've seen more and more play with the speed Banshees recently, and I think that's fine. Let's just take a look at a couple of the bug fixes as well. Fixed an issue with the cycle attack upgrade that gave +1 instead of +2. So the cycles are going to be stronger again with the upgrades, but the lock-on cooldown has been fixed as well. So they will go back to the original lock-on cooldown, which I think was like 1 less second or something like that, which we've had in the game for a long time. So finally we're going to fix that. Fix an issue with the mothership attack range at max range, and fix an issue with orbital commands not auto-rolling. So this is the most impactful bug fix, obviously, and this one is pretty impactful too. Yeah, not much comment about this, but in general, my opinion about this balance is that we are going more into a direction to please the non-pro gamers, which are struggling the most, right? The mid-level Zergs, the mid-level Terrans that have high issues with trying to split against Storm, dealing with the energy overcharge, engaging and so on as a Zerg player, because we see a lot of decrease in Zerg players in the middle range of the pro gaming scene. And while I think these balance changes are not going to be staying as they are right now, because they are just incredibly difficult to judge based on just these numbers, I really don't think it will stay like this. I think the biggest winner of the patch, if it will stay as it is right now, is against Zerg. And then if we are going to be thinking about a potential Serral buff, if you can think that Serral is gonna get buffed, and Serral is already winning pretty much everything that there is, Zerg is going to be unstoppable, or maybe Serral is going to be completely unstoppable, and I don't think he would be losing any games if these changes would stay like now. But once again, this is just the PTR, this is the public test run patch, which means that we are going to be testing it and see if this is actually completely broken, OP, if we need to adjust the patch in a different way. I don't think we will be able to do any different changes as we have right now. Maybe a couple of number buffs here and there, changing some numbers from the Storm, for example, or from the Microbial Shroud. But I would not be expecting that suddenly we're going to be thinking about a potential rework of a unit. So just to finalize my thoughts here, I again think the biggest winner of this potential PTR patch is by far the Zerg. Terrans don't get that much fun to play with, but the games are going to be changed kind of drastically both in TVC and TVP. So they will have to try some new stuff as well. I think if we would have stopped at just this with the mothership HP nerf, I would be perfectly fine with testing stuff. And maybe it could even stay the same. I am the most worried about the Psi Storm, let's call it a rework, and the microbial shroud reduced range by 50%. We will have to thoroughly test these changes to see how broken it exactly is, and I'm just willing to do that. I think we should be going in that crazy direction of changes. Do some drastic changes for StarCraft, make it more different than it is right now. I don't mind how the balance is, but the gameplay, like I said, is a bit unfair with Protoss really getting a lot of the get out of jail free card, but the game is balanced around that. So in general, I am looking forward to this patch. I think we need to do a lot of testing, a lot of games, especially the freaking Zergs. You know what? I'm really worried about the Zergs really lowballing the playtesting, you know, because I think they know how broken this is going to be, and they might not be showing how broken it is in the testing just to make sure that it goes through, you know. I hope it's not going to happen. I hope we'll be able to test these changes as good as possible, because the balance of the game is going to be shattered with this PTR quite a lot, I would say, and we will have to find the right footing. I wonder how much time we will have to test these changes and how quickly Blizzard is going to be capable of acting to change these numbers, to change the balance if we find something that needs the work, that needs to be fixed. But for now, let me know what you think about these balance changes in the comment section. If you think this is a good change, if you are going to be checking the game out because of the changes, I will try to play as many games as possible on the PTR and show you guys on YouTube as soon as it's available to play. And yeah, let's see how the new patch is going to be changing the StarCraft 2 balance. Honestly, I'm just happy that Blizzard is doing something in terms of balance, that we are getting some changes. Are these changes good or bad? I don't know yet. Honestly, once again, the Zerg is the biggest winner here, in my opinion, just by reading the numbers, but maybe it's not going to be so bad. Let's see how this is going to go in an actual gameplay as soon as it's possible. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.